In today's show, I am telling you what I think will be the opening night starting lineups and rotations for all of the teams in the Eastern Conference. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_Beeble, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, and we are available on all platforms. So, time for an annual tradition of me telling you what I think the opening night, starting lineups, and rotations will be. I'll also tell you when we go through this injuries that we need to look at with these players. I might do a full show on injuries when we get an official injury report, which we don't have yet. And I'm also going to give you my minutes predictions. That was predictions and projections mushed together. I'll give you whatever P word you want to use there on minutes. That will change, obviously, as we hear more information over the next couple of days. I'm going to be right on some of these. I'm going to be wrong on some of them. But it's also worth looking at the reason I wanted to put the minutes out there, which I haven't done before, is to show you just how hard it can be to find the minutes that you want for your bench stud, for your sixth man, for your seventh guy that's going to blow up, just to find how hard it is to actually squeeze the minutes into those players when nearly every team is going to run a 10-man rotation. Every coach comes in. This happens every year, and I don't know why it happens. Every beat reporter and every coach goes, yeah, man, we're too deep. I think we're going to have to run a 10-man rotation. Yeah, it's going to have to be a 10-man rotation. Every team runs a 10-man rotation. Every year. 29 teams, 28 teams do 10 guys every single night. Maybe one does 11, maybe one does 9. Every single team does a 10-man rotation every night. I assure you of that. But every time they come in the preseason, oh, yeah, we're probably going to have to go with a 10-man rotation. Yeah, I know. You do it every time. So bear that in mind. Some of them, maybe they do go 9. And I think maybe I've got 2 teams here for opening night that are going to go 9 just because of some injuries and absences and insane coaches. But every team basically goes 10 deep every single night. That is just how NBA rotations work. Remember that. Because if you do go 9, yes, you can force extra minutes in other guys. They just don't do that in the regular season. In the playoffs, sure, it's an 8-man rotation. It's a 7-man rotation. In the regular season, it's not really. So, what should we do, Warnie?
Let's get it on, Gilly.
Let's start with the Hawks. I think it's guaranteed they're going to start Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, Johnny Collins, and Clint Capella. Although Capella is questionable with a thumb issue. Of course, if Capella is out, you slide Onyeka Okongwu in there. He plays 30 minutes and you love it. And then Frank Kaminsky is the backup center. I think Young and Murray play 35 minutes each. I think Hunter and Collins play 31 minutes each. And I think Capella plays 27. I think that's reasonable, yeah? Then that leaves the bench, again, not many minutes. Justin Holiday, I think, will get 24. That one I could be wrong on. They haven't used him massive amounts in the preseason, but when you look at the guys that are there, especially the wings and guards, he's probably the best player. With Bogdanovic out, he will not be there to begin the season, Bogdan. So I've got Justin Holiday at 24 and Onyeka Okongwu at 21, playing the 27 that Capella's not playing. That could be, playing the 21 that Capella's not playing after he plays 27. So that could be 26-22. I've got Jalen Johnson at 15, playing some of those minutes behind John Collins. Hunter will slide up a little bit as well. I've got Aaron Holiday with 11 minutes. There's just not a massive need for a backup point guard when Murray and Trae will take that. So Holiday's shooting can get 11. And I think AJ Griffin's the guy that comes in and replaces Bogdanovic in the rotation. They look pretty good in preseason. And I could actually see Justin Holiday playing 20 and an extra 4 going on to AJ Griffin there. But, again, when you want to complain about your projections and how things go, what do you disagree with that? I really want to hear with people listening to this, or if they've got issues and they think things are different, please, if you are on YouTube, just drop it in the comments. Like, you think there's something different with the Hawks? Maybe you think it'll be 24 minutes of Okongwu, 24 Capella. I think it's probably 26-22 at best. Do you think that Collins will play 29 and Jalen Johnson will play more? Do you think? Yeah, what do you think? Let me know. I don't know these things. Beat reporters don't know these things. We have our guesses. We see what we see. And we'll find out after the first game. That's how this stuff works. Boston. I think that they will start with Marcus Smart as their point guard. Derek White next to him.
Maximum Derek.
Jaylen Brown.
JB, you've done it again.
Jason Tatum and Al Horford. I've got Smart at 32, Derek White at 27, Jaylen Brown at 34, Tatum at 35, and Horford at 29. Remember, Rob Williams is out. I think that the Celtics will be one of those teams that runs a 9-man rotation early this season. Their back end of their roster is Justin Jackson, who's bad, Noah Vonleh, who's Noah Vonleh, Luke Cornett, who's maybe interesting. He might be the 10th guy. Funda Kabengele, JD Davison. It's not good. Like the options on that bench, Peyton Pritchard is the other one who might get in. But in their last preseason game, they said they were basically running a regular rotation, and Pritchard was not in the 9-man rotation. He was in the let's get scraps minutes. So that's why I've taken him out of that. Same with Cornett. I've got Grant Williams playing 31 off the bench. I've got Brogdon playing 28. Brogdon did get hurt in the final preseason game, but absolutely nothing serious, and they expect him to play. I've got Sammy Hauser playing 12 and Blake Griffin playing 12. Now, again, Pritchard could be in there, and they could also go with Cornett. And Griffin would probably be the guy out of there. But if they do slide someone like Pritchard into that rotation, it means that Derek White plays 24 minutes probably. Maybe Brogdon plays 27. Williams plays 28. And I imagine that those top 7 guys, because their depth is pretty bad, that their top 7 guys are going to get a lot of minutes. Then Hauser and Griffin, you might get 3-4 minutes, and maybe Hauser plays 10 and Griffin plays 8 and Pritchard plays 5. But I think the Celtics are going to be a team that does run with a 9-man rotation early in the season until Rob Williams comes back, or there'll be some nights where they limit those things. But having Grant and Brogo as the 6th and 7th men, they're going to get pretty substantial minutes, I would expect, and that limits what you can do with the rest of the rotation. So they are one of the teams. The other team I think that I've got for 9 is the Raptors. Obviously, we know what Toronto's like. Let's go to Brooklyn. This one, there's some question marks in the rotation. At the moment, I think they'll go with Kyrie, Royce O'Neal, Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons, Nick Claxton, because both Seth Curry and Joe Harris are questionable. Harris had some ankle soreness. Curry had ankle surgery as well. They might both be ready to play, but I'm not sure. And look, to me, Joe Harris is the perfect guy to start, but I'm not sure they do it straight away. Well, Curry would be a good starter too, but I think Harris could be in there over O'Neal. I got Kyrie at 36, O'Neal 25, Durant 36, Simmons 35, and Nicky Claxton 26. I don't have TJ Warren in the rotation because he's not ready to go 2 years after breaking his foot. And then I've got both Seth and Joe, Curry and Harris, at 23 minutes apiece off the bench as they ramp back up. Eventually, they will get minutes higher than that. I've got Paddy Mills at 16. I think Paddy is going to see significantly fewer minutes. In fact, there might be times where he does not play. I've got Day'Ron Sharpe ahead of Markieff Morris playing 13 minutes. And then the last spot, I've got Kessler Edwards at 7. You could make an argument that Cam Thomas is better than Kessler Edwards, but there's no need. With Curry, Harris, and Mills, what the hell do you need Cam Thomas for? The answer is you don't. Kessler Edwards has got some size. He can play on the wing, and I think that will make more sense for this team. Imagine running a bench group of Curry, Harris, Mills, and Thomas. Even if one of those guys starts, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But they could do it. Cam Thomas could play here over Kessler Edwards, but there's not many minutes available. Markieff could also play over Day'Ron, and that's possible as well, but I don't think it happens. And as I said, TJ Warren is out to start the season, but BetOnline's never out. They're always in because they are the number one source for all of your pro football and pro basketball betting needs. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. NFL Week 6 is tomorrow. So if you want to go have a look at the Arizona Cardinals, 2-point favorites over Geno Smith, MVP legend, and the Seattle Seahawks, it's there. If you want to check the Week 8 college football data, that'll be up soon. Maybe TCU going to the national championship. Well, maybe you can check the odds of that game. That's all over there at BetOnline, including live betting and up-to-the-minute scores. It's the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including Major League Baseball playoffs. Let's go Padres, including NHL, NBA, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline is where the game starts. Let's go to the Hornets. LaMelo Ball is out to start the season. I believe pretty comfortably that they will start Terry Rozier at point guard, and that will slide Kelly Oubre next to him. I think 34 minutes to Rozier, 28 to Oubre. I don't think Oubre's very good. I don't think Clifford's going to think Oubre's very good. And he does have other guys who can come in and fill that spot. So that's why I haven't bumped Oubre to like 31, 32. I've got Gordon Hayward at 32. I've got PJ Washington Jr. at 32. Now, Washington is dealing with a slight ankle injury. It's fully expected that he is ready opening night, but at the moment, I've got him as probable for opening night. But we'll get more when we get the official injury report. And then Mason Plumley will start at center, and I've got him at 23 minutes. For the bench group, I've got Cody Martin playing 27, so he'll come in and get those minutes behind Oubre and Hayward. I've got Jalen McDaniels at 19, who'll play at the 3 and the 4. I've got the librarian, Jim Bouknight, at 13 minutes. I think he's bad, but there are guard minutes available. There's Nicky Richards at 17 to play some center minutes, so it'll be Washington, Plumley, Richards. I expect to play these minutes at center. I don't think that Mark Williams will be getting minutes straight away.
Oh, hi, Mark.
And I've got Dennis Smith Jr., the wood slanger, at 15 minutes to come as a backup and play somewhat alongside Terry Rozier as well. Deeper leagues, you'd want to pay attention. Smith has turned into an unbelievable source of defensive stats in limited minutes, a big steals and big blocks guy. So be aware of that in deeper leagues. And as I said, LaMelo Ball is out to begin the season. For the Chicago Bulls, they got Lonzo Ball out. So we're going with a ballless beginning to the season in the NBA. Ayo Dosunmu will start. I've got him at 30 minutes. Zach LaVine, the skater boy, next to him at 35. Got DeRozan at 35. And then I've got Javonte Green starting over Patrick Williams. Now, Green is dealing with a hip issue, marginal hip issue. I think he's questionable. I've got him at 22 minutes only. And I've got Vooch at 31 as the starting center.
It's Big Vucevic.
Off the bench, I've got Paddy Williams at 25 minutes. Yeah, maybe. I've got Alex Caruso, the rabbit hunter, at 23 minutes.
Be very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
We'll get back to Caruso in a second. I've got the big avocado, Andre Drummond, at 16 minutes. I've got Kobe White at 10, and the iron shoulder, Goran Dragic, at 13. So Caruso, who a lot of people were taking around pick 100 in drafts, I don't have him playing 28 minutes. He might be in the closing lineup, but if you want to get excited about Dosunmu and think he's playing big minutes, their bench is going to include White and Dragic as well. There just isn't enough minutes for him to get 30. Like, where do I take it? Does Pat Williams play 18? Does White and Dragic play under 10 and 13 minutes? Does Drummond play fewer than 16 and they have no center for most of the game or chunks of the game? Where do you find the extra 5 for Caruso? I don't think Dragic plays fewer than 13 or White plays fewer than 10. Maybe you could say Williams plays 20. Maybe you could say Dosunmu plays 27. But it doesn't appear they'll do that. So the Dosunmu, Caruso, Williams, White, Dragic minutes are all a bit up in the air. That's why I've been saying, I'm not going to take Caruso at 100. That's why I've also been saying, I'm not sure there's gigantic upside in Dosunmu, because if they go and want to give more minutes to Caruso, Ayo's going to lose it. He's going to lose some playing time. Because LaVine and DeRozan aren't. Vooch isn't. And then there's just a bunch of weird players here. And I could easily see Kobe White playing 18 minutes. So where does that come from? Like, there's just too many guards. There's 3 point guards in that bench rotation. And that is apparently the bench rotation they'll use. They might go with Derek Jones at times, but this is what I understand will be the 10-man group that the Chicago Bulls use. And that leads to some minutes squeezing. That's 240 minutes. It's hard to get the minutes there, guys. Cleveland. Garland, 34. Mitchell, 34.
He's done. He's good.
I've got LeVert starting at small forward at 29 minutes. I've got Evan Mobley at power forward at 34 and Jarrett Allen at 33. I guess the quibble you could have there is LeVert might play 31, 32. I don't think so. They are going to be without Ricky Rubio and Dylan Windler to begin the season, most likely. Windler had an ankle problem. I didn't think he'd be in the rotation anyway. And then their bench, I've got Isaac Okoro at 22. That could become 18. I've got Dean Wade at 17, who's shown an ability to play the 3, the 4, and the 5. I've got Kevin Love at 20. And then there's Hull Neto at 10. He doesn't need to play all 14 minutes that Garland's not out there because Mitchell will handle point guard. And I've got the Discman, Cedi Osman, with 7 minutes. Now, Okoro could easily drop down to 17 here, but he played not bad in the preseason. And that would give a few extra minutes to Osman, maybe a couple of extra to LeVert. But you've got LeVert, Wade, Okoro, Osman, all sort of battling for their minutes. I don't think they're going to run a 9-man rotation and cut someone out completely. If they did, it would be Osman. And that's, again, it is hard to get big minutes into some of these fringy sort of players. It's really difficult to do. Let's look at Detroit, which is probably the team that I have no idea about the most. Their rotation, their team is crazy. It's so weird. It opens up a little bit with some injuries. Marvin Bagley will be out to start the season. Alec Burks will be out to start the season.
Alec Berg.
Nerlens Noel will probably be out to start the season with plantar fasciitis, but he could also play. I think they're going to go with Cunningham at 35 minutes.
My name is Richie Cunningham.
I think Jaden Ivey goes next. I think he only plays 31. Dwayne Casey, rookies, lower minutes. The depressed penis, Sadiq Bey gets 33. Bojan Bogdanovic gets 30. And then the big fella, the Flaming Galah, Alf Stewart at 27.
Is that you, Mr. Stewart?
Well, who the hell else do you think it'd be? Get in here, you pair of flaming galahs.
Stewart can have some foul trouble, and I don't think that Casey wants big minutes for him. Now, I could be wrong with some of these bench ones. I'm going to be wrong with a lot of these things, of course. I got Killian Hayes at 23. I thought he's been really good in the preseason. He had one good offensive game. All of his games were good defensively. He's a good passer, and I think 23 minutes sounds about right. Isaiah Livers at 18, playing some backup 3 and 4. I would have hoped they could have given him 30, but Bojan Bogdanovic arrives, and that kills that. I've got the rookie Jalen Duren playing 20 minutes. And that's probably the one I'm most unsure about. But with Noel unlikely to play, and Bagley definitely not playing, it's going to be Stewart and Duren playing all of the minutes at center. So unless they go 30 to Stewart, which I'm not sure they do, and Duren might not be able to last 20 minutes because of fouls. But I think he's got that chance. Hamidou Diallo. Oh, I haven't done this one for a while. Where's I can't even find my Hamidou Diallo drop. It's got to be around somewhere. Oh, there it is.
Stop. Have a time.
MC Hamidou Diallo hasn't played. They seem to like him. I don't know why. He'll probably get 14 minutes. And I've got Corey Joseph somehow sneaking in there for 9. Now, when Alec Burks returns, Diallo and Joseph both might get out of that rotation. And then it will drop the minutes to maybe to Hayes as well. And maybe Hayes plays 20. Joseph's gone. Diallo plays 10. Maybe Livers plays 15 to get Burks up to 18, 19 is what I would guess. But that's how I see things for the Pistons opening night. Again, whatever you disagree with, or not even disagree, hey, I've got a different opinion on it, just drop it in the comments. Plan out your 240 minutes and see how you come to those conclusions. Let's look at the Indiana Pacers. I believe they will start with Tyrese Halliburton, who underrated, he missed the last 2 preseason games with a back issue. I think he's going to be fine, but he missed them. I got him at 35 minutes. I've got Chris Duarte at 30 minutes. And I've got Budrick Hield at 33. I've got Sticks, Jalen Smith.
Stand by your man.
At 28 minutes. And I've got Miles Turner at 30. I think that's reasonable. Injury-wise, there's no one that's ruled out at this point. Off the bench, I've got Humpty Dumpty, Benedict Mathurin at 26 minutes. Mathurin put some good numbers up in preseason, but it's a rookie. It's regular season. I don't think they're going to force feed him 40% usage on 30 minutes like they did in the preseason. 26 might even be high, to be honest. He might play 22. I went with 26, but I'm not confident in it. I've given Isaiah Jackson 18 minutes to play all of the backup minutes behind Miles Turner. I've got O'Shea Brissett at 13 minutes, and that might be low. There's also still Timothy John McConnell. And Carlisle will use him, not at 25 minutes, but I've got him at 19, but he could, that Mathurin might play 20 and McConnell might play 23, and then Nesmith, who's the other guy I've got at 8 minutes, who's also questionable, he might play 12. So again, when you want to get fired up about Mathurin, have a look at this. Who loses? Does Duarte play less than 30? Does Hield play less than 33? Does McConnell play less than 19? Does Nesmith play less than 8? And I find it hard to answer that question is yes. In fact, the most likely scenario is one of those guys, especially McConnell and Nesmith, or even Brissett, play more minutes. And the logical place to take them is from Mathurin. Remember that when you grab him in a draft. Definitely grab him, but remember that this might be rough. It might be rough until February. That is the trajectory of so many rookie shooting guards, that they're bad for a long time. And he's not as good as Anthony Edwards. He's not as good as Jalen Green. And they were bad. They were unrosterable for big chunks of the season for a lot of people. Let's look at the Miami Heat now. If I could find the right sound drop.
Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry is going to start 32 minutes. I believe Tyler Hero will start.
Everyone has a hero.
True.
0 people shouldn't have a hero.
He'll get 32 minutes, I would guess. He has struggled at times next to Butler and Lowry, but we'll see how it goes. Speaking of Butler, he'll start and play 34, I guess.
Because he's my butler.
And then Caleb Barton has got that other spot, and I think it's about 29 minutes for Martin. He's looked pretty good in that role. And then Bam Adebayo gets the 33.
Bam, 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 bam.
And then I think their bench rotation will be Oladipo at 22, Max Strus at 18, Gabe Vincent at 14, Little Chungus Nikola Jovic at 11, and The Undertaker, Dwayne Dedman, at 15. Now, you'll notice a couple of names that aren't on that list. One of them is Jamal Cain, who had a pretty good preseason. The other one is Duncan Robinson. So, Jovic might not play. But who else doesn't play? Like, if Dedman has to play, because there is no other center there, so he's going to have to play. Yurtsev's injured. He's dealing with an ankle problem. He might play, but he's out there. So, to get Robinson in, to get Cain in, who misses out here? Vincent, Strus, Oladipo? Probably not. Jovic, maybe, to get Duncan Robinson in. But it's a battle. I think Jovic has looked better than Robinson. It's a battle to get him the minutes. In Milwaukee, got a few injuries. Middleton won't play. Pat Connaughton won't play. Joe Ingles won't play. And they all play the same position. So there is a big opening in this rotation. I think that they'll go with Drew Holiday at point guard. Of course they will. Of course. What are you talking about, Josh? Of course they will. 34 minutes. I think Grayson Allen plays his shooting guard spot, 27 minutes. I think the big fella, Giannis, will actually move down a spot to the 3.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Doesn't really matter if he's the 3 or the 4 because Punch Bob's at the 4. Punch Bob can shoot. Giannis can't. That's fine. I think Bobby Portis plays 30 minutes. I think Giannis plays 34. They've gone big in preseason a lot of the time. And then Brook Lopez plays 28 minutes as the starting center. Wes Matthews is questionable, but it's expected that he will play. So I think he gets 22 minutes. And then there's George Hill at 18, Jordan Nwora at 17, Javon Carter at 20, and then as a backup big, Sandro Mamakhalishvili will get 10. There's Serge Ibaka. Thanasis is in or dealing with a non-COVID illness. There's Marjon Beauchamp, but I don't think they're going to be in that mix. I think that that Hill Nwora Carter mix, maybe Hill plays like 14 minutes and Carter plays more because Carter's been playing a lot. Carter could also start and they bring Portis off the bench. That is something they've done a few times as well. The Knicks. This is not a team. Tom Thibodeaux, for all of the criticism, he doesn't run a 9-man rotation. He runs a 10-man rotation and the bench never play. But it is 10 men nearly all the time. And he's got a pretty deep team. They're also not currently injured. I think it's going to be pretty obviously Jalen Brunson, around 35 minutes as the starter. I think the diseased scrotum, Evan Fournier, will start next to him, but I don't think it's going to be big minutes. I've got him for 25, and that could push to 28. But there's just so many guard options off the bench that it's hard for me to look at Fournier and go, yeah, you're much better than all those guys. Rowan Barrett will play 35. Double Royal will play 35. Julius Randle. And Mitch Robinson, I think, will play about 26.
And Mitch Robinson says, I'll take it from here.
Because Tom Thibodeaux basically refuses to play Randle or Toppin as center, I've got all of the center minutes, basically bar one, which there might be some crossover, being held by Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein. So I've got Hartenstein at 21. Then I've got Emmanuel Quickley at 18, which is obviously far too few minutes for him. And this is what I mean, right? I've only got Fournier at 25, and that still only allows me to give 18 to Quickley, 14 to Grimes, and 18 to Derrick Rose. Maybe Fournier plays 20 minutes. Because Rose, Grimes, and Quickley all deserve. Yeah, Rose probably at 22, but Quickley should play 25, 26, and Grimes should play 25, 26. But I can't do it. I can't start Fournier, and he's going to start, and play him 16 minutes a night. You can't do it. And the other one is Obi Toppin, who is listed probable, but the only minutes he's got is behind Randle. So I've got him at 13. Like, he can't play the 3. He won't play the 4. I've got him at 13 minutes. And I know we all loved what he did at the end of last season, but this is Tom Thibodeaux, the man who played his regular rotation players the most minutes out of anybody in the preseason. What a shock that is. Unless you think Randle's playing 30, there's no path for Toppin to get to 20. There just isn't. And this is the Tom Thibodeaux problem. I think that this next team, the Orlando Magic, is the team that I'm the least sure of anybody. Because every guard's out, apart from one. So Cole Anthony's going to start and play 34 minutes. they've gone big in some of these preseason games. Franz Wagner's definitely going to start. Like there's no question about that. I think he's going to handle a lot of the point guard responsibilities. I've got him at 33. I've got Chuma Okeke in the starting lineup at 24, but that could very easily be Mo Bamba in there as well. They've gone that big in some games too. I've got Paulo Banchero at 32, and I've got Wendell Carter at 31. That Okeke one, I don't think the minutes are going to be big because there are a lot of other guys jumping in here. Remember, they won't have Jalen Suggs most likely. They won't have Markel Fultz most likely. They won't have Gary Harris almost definitely. And old mate Yokai, Jonathan Isaac. Like, what do you reckon? Do you reckon he's going to play? Of course not. Off the bench, I've got Bumber at 19, Terrence Ross at 21, Roderick Hampton at 20, Caleb Houston at 14, and Bol Bol at 12. Now, I guess Caleb Houston might only play 10, and that gives Bumber 21, 22, and might give a KK up to 28. But I think Houston's been sort of on the fringes of that rotation, and that sounds about right. But maybe Houston and Bol only play 12 or 10, giving a few extra there to Bumba or to Hampton or to a KK. But I am the least certain about this rotation of anybody because the shooting guards are Hampton, Ross, and Houston, but I don't think they're going to start any of those guys. I think it's going to be Wagner, who plays basically as a 2/point guard, and then load up with bigs. And then it's Okeke or Bumba who's in there. It's a really confusing team. Let's go to the Sixers. Well, with the starting group is obvious. It's Jim Harden, 35 minutes. I've got Tyrese Maxey at 34. That might be 35. I've got Toby Harris, the thick hogsman, at 33.
I think I am a TH.
T to the H. Yeah, TH for life.
I've got PJ Tucker at 29, and I've got Joel Embiid at 34. Don't argue with that starting five. It's it. The minutes, maybe you can make an argument. I've got the wave pool at 24, DeAnthony Melton. And a lot of people, man, Melton, 25, 26 minutes. For me to actually get him to 24 minutes, I can't give anyone else any other minutes. Look at this. Thibault is at 16. Daniel House at 11. I've got Paul Reed over Montrezl Harrell playing 12 minutes because I think that he'll get those minutes and then you'll see a little bit of PJ Tucker at center. And I've got George Niang, who is excellent for this team, playing 12 minutes as well. So in order for, say, like Melton to play 28, or even for Thibault to get 21, 22, Melton has to lose out. House needs to be eliminated. Niang needs to barely play. The bench is squeezed for minutes. It's very hard to find it. I think Melton gets that call, but maybe he plays 20 and Thibault plays 20. And 20 minutes of DeAnthony Melton, I'm not sure it's enough to make a difference in a lot of fantasy leagues. That is one to watch for sure. Let's go to Toronto, a team that I do think will run a 9-man rotation. And there is a guy that I left out of this rotation that I'm a little bit annoyed that I did. But it was just hard for me to find those minutes. So they will start Fred VanVleet. I've got him at 36. They will start Gaz Trent. I've got him at 34. Could easily be 36. They'll start the Jedi, OG Anunoby, who was awesome in the preseason in the last game.
But what about Scarves?
OG. Stop ones. OG. You better stop OG.
I've got him at 35. They've got Scotland Barnes at 36. And I've got Pascal Siakam at 37. This is what Nick Nurse does. This is the rotation. Reminder, Boucher won't play to begin the season. He's got a hamstring injury. Otto Porter won't play to begin the season. He's got a hamstring injury, while Malachi Flynn's dealing with a cheekbone issue. I've got Achua playing 26 minutes. In large part, the extra minutes there for Achua is because they're playing the Cavs, so they might need to go bigger. So I've got Precious at 26. I've got Delano Banton as their only guard guy, getting 12 minutes. I've got Thad Young at 14 and Juancho Hernan-Gomez at 10. Nick Nurse said Juancho would be in the rotation. But the guy that I wanted to get in there was Christian Koloko. But where do I do it? Do I take Banton out and just have no guards at all on the bench and give his 12 minutes to Koloko? Do I not play Thad Young? Do I not play Juancho and get Koloko in there? I don't think Koloko and Achua can play together. So as much as I like what Koloko's done, the way this roster is constructed, I don't know where he fits in to get those minutes. I'd really love your input in this, and I know, Raptors fans, you'll love me. So, but what do you think about this rotation? Like, what do you think differs here? And don't just say, well, Koloko definitely plays. Figure out how. This is the challenge that I go through every single day working at Basketball Monster and providing this show, is to try and figure out how the hell it all fits together. It's not easy. And the last team, the Washington Wizards. Corey Kispert will be out to begin the season when Vernon Carey is dealing with concussion protocol. Not that Vernon Carey would have played. Monte Morris will start. I think there's 32 minutes there. Brad Beal gets 36 next to him. And I think they will start Farton Will Barton.
No, you will! No, he's ready to sack that. Run, Will! Give it off quick!
It's what they did in their final preseason game, and the beat reporters seem to think that was what would happen most likely. I've got him at 28 minutes. I've got Kyle Kuzma at 31, who's had, honestly, a shocking preseason. I think he's looked pretty bad. And then there's Porzingis, who is probably questionable to start, but I do think he'll be ready. I've got him at 32. Off the bench, I think they'll play Rui Hachimura the most minutes. I've got him at 25. I've got Denny Avdia at 16, but he is dealing with an injury as well. He is questionable. It looks like Avdia will be fine. He's dealing with a groin problem, though. Dan Gafford at 16 to play all of those minutes, backing up Porzingis. I've got Delon Wright at 18, and then I've got Anthony Gill, the originator of this sound drop.
Let's get it on, Gilly.
I think he gets 6 minutes. Now, maybe they go 9 deep and don't play him at all, and give Delon Wright 22 minutes and give Avdia 18. That's possible. But they had liked using Gill a little bit for his shooting touch. I don't think Johnny Davis, old Cobra Kai, I don't think he's in there to begin things. I don't think that Taj Gibson's getting minutes either. They also decided to go a full Jordan two-way deal with Jordan Goodwin and Jordan Shackle being their two-way players. They're not going to be a part of things. And that is the Eastern Conference rotations. Please, I implore you, let me know what you think. Give me your rotations of your favorite team or something you think is wrong here. Because I'll tell you right now, these are wrong. They aren't all wrong, but they're not all right. Because I cannot get it all 100% correct. Things will happen, and they'll happen weird. This is where we sit on October the 15th. This is how I see those things playing out. Follow this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app here on YouTube. You thumb it up. You leave those comments down below, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.